Family of a man who was beaten to death while working at a Jacksonville Dave & Buster's is now suing the restaurant.
The lawsuit filed Monday also names the man charged in his death who also worked there. Our Brianna Ray Turner is joining us right now in the studio. And Brianna, I know you spoke with the family of the victim who say they want justice served.
I talked with the victims on the phone today. She says Dave & Buster's is liable in the death of Tony Roy because they put her nephew at risk by hiring a man with a violent past.
Justice is what family wants for 28-year-old Tony Roy. During a shift in late January at Dave & Buster's, Roy was training Cordell Samuel Bentley Russell. Witnesses say Bentley Russell was in a bad mood that day and ended up beating Roy until he was brain dead. Roy died 5 days later. Bentley Russell is charged with manslaughter and has pleaded not guilty. But his family says Dave & Buster's is also to blame for hiring Bentley Russell despite prior convictions for violent felonies.
If there's a foreseeable risk of harm, then the business owner has an obligation, a duty, and it's a non-delegable duty, which means they can't avoid it. The business owner has a duty to do something about it. To do something about the foreseeable risk of harm.
Jacksonville attorney Andrew Bonderud says if an employee of a restaurant is negligent and if that negligence occurred during his role as an employee, then the employer can be held vicariously liable.
Here, to the extent that what we're talking about is intentional, deliberate, malicious conduct, ordinarily an employer would not be able to be held vicariously liable.
In the lawsuit, it states that Dave & Buster's was and is vicariously liable for the acts of its agent, employee, or representative, defendant Cordell Samuel Bentley Russell. The lawsuit also states that the company failed to provide adequate security. The lawsuit goes on to say that Dave & Buster's knew that its employee had a violent past based on prior similar accidents and assigned Tony Roy to work directly with him, despite knowing it was, quote, virtually certain to result in injury or death to Tony Roy.
And so often these cases are resolved pre-trial. And a small percentage of these types of cases will actually go to trial with a jury to produce a verdict and decide what's going to happen and who owes who how much money.
Late last week, Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill into law that will make it more difficult to bring these kinds of lawsuit. But that will not affect this lawsuit since that law does not take effect until summer. I'm live here in the studio. Brianna Ray Turner, First Coast News on your side.